Trust me, I watched this show the other night. I have a beard too. With the beard and that bone. Hold on. It is 7x7. Yeah. No, 761.
Commissioner Cost.
15 minutes late.
That's me.
Range or something. You said traffic.
You can talk to me on, I told you, I'm not.
Oh,
Thank you, appreciate
Oh, we get our cell phone numbers now? That's
I communicate.
Should I remind you of some bacon drink that you had?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I take cell phone. No. Yeah, you did. What is it?
We have a.
Oh.
Yes. Welcome to the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meetings, which are held on the third Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. All meetings are conducted at PRHA's main office, 3116 South Street, Portsmouth, Virginia, 23707, unless otherwise noted. All members of the public are welcome to attend. Can we get roll call?
Commissioner Cost. Commissioner Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner Pickett.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Wright.
Here.
And Vice Chair Wick.
Here. Okay, now we will adjourn. Yeah.
No, not yet. Okay. We're gonna go into the annual meeting. Purpose of the annual meeting is to elect officers for the coming year, which would be chair and vice chair. I'm gonna do the roll call for the annual meeting. Commissioner Cost, Commissioner Morgan,
Here.
Commissioner Pickett,
Here.
Commissioner Prince,
Here.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Wright,
Here.
and Commissioner Wick.
Here.
Okay. The floor is open for nomination for chair.
I nominate Stephanie Wright for chair.
I'll second that.
I haven't got to say it. If not, nomination for chair is closed. Need a motion?
I'm so moved.
Second.
I second.
Second. Since you are the only one, you now have the chair.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on, nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Sean Prince, Commissioner Prince,
I
for
second that.
vice chair.
Any other nomination? If not, nomination is closed. No vote is required. Sean is vice chair.
Today.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead. You can read.
Okay.
It does happen next week.
You're
does.
the new chair.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry.
You need to come here.
You take it over.
It's your job. No, I have my own tablet.
Okay.
I'm definitely coaching.
Yeah, I'd say it.
There's your,
How come Sean didn't have to move?
Y'all put baby in a corner months ago. I'm just gonna say right over here.
I left my name.
her name tag.
Thank you.
Hey, congratulations.
We're gonna close the special meeting. Need a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Need a
Second.
second. Roll call, Commissioner Cost, Commissioner Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner Pickett.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Wick.
Yes.
And Chairman Wright.
Here.
Okay. We'll wait a few minutes, and we'll just go into our regular meeting.
If city council could do this and move this.
I wish.
Thank you.
I'm sure book today.
Since we're on pause, if I may, since we've done the switch, and we're on record. Bruce Leonardi had sent out a email basically thanking and saying goodbye. I hadn't had an opportunity to respond, but I'd like to respond here. And firstly saying congratulations, and I hope that it's a smooth transition and that we make the next several years better than what we had. And we do some things to improve where we've been. I think that for the most part, the finances are good. I think we've got a lot of work to do in the neighborhoods, we all need to collectively get together with. But I think that you're gonna spearhead just fine. But I did want to give kudos, even though me and Mr. Leilani bumped heads on the security piece. I think he had his heart well set in this board and for PRHA. And he definitely loved the idea of the staff that we got, obviously. I just wanted to give kudos to him, even though he's not here.
Go here. So we just ask for the approval of,
Well, we got his roll call. Yeah. We're gonna go have a regular meeting. I gotta do roll call again at the regular meeting. Commissioner Calls, Commissioner Morgan.
here.
Commissioner Pickett,
Here.
Commissioner Prince,
Here.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Wick,
Here.
and Chairman Wright.
And so I go for
Yeah,
get the approval for the commissioners meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second, okay.
yeah, July 20 and it's good for this.
So chair remarks.
No, that was for the 20th. We've got to do the closed
The
meeting.
roll call.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to, you can do both at the same time, the July
Okay.
20 and the August 31st.
And I say,
You state both of those.
okay.
Yeah.
So July 20th, 2023 meeting minutes and August 31st, 2023 special call meeting.
And still so moved.
You second? Okay. Commissioner Morgan. Yeah, nay.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Pickett,
Yes.
She doesn't have to abstain.
Vice Chair Prince,
Yes.
Commissioner Wick,
Yes.
and Chairman Wright.
Yes. And so my remarks. Let me just say thank you. I think once all of the butterflies and everything get out of the way, we'll be all right. I'll get it down to a science. It just won't be today. It just won't be today. So anyway, just for councilman liaison remarks, okay?
Well, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
First of all, I want to apologize for my attire. Today was a day off and I was ripping and running until literally 5 o'clock. So, but I'm here.
You're here.
That's what matters.
So, let me think what's going on with city council. So we just got back from our summer hiatus for 3 weeks. And so we had our special meeting this past Tuesday to talk about crime in the city, of course. As we know, crime is high, very high. The presentation that we received didn't talk about the statistics of crime. However, did not talk about a plan to address crime. So, this Tuesday, we are going to be voting on putting together a board and commission that's tasked with crime and gun violence reduction. That will look at the Bloomberg Harvard study that was put together about a year ago, and hopefully find ways to implement those. So I actually just left City Hall a few minutes ago, and so what we're looking to do is to have 9 members on the board, 7 of which are at-large members, to work with city officials to develop some crime reduction strategies. One of the ex officio members of the committee will be a member of PRJ. The PRJ's executive director or his or her designee. So PRHA will be able to sit at the table and to talk about issues that you all have and how the city can work with you all to address issues that happen in your community, but also to provide information on what we can do outside of PRHA as well. So it's kind of a give and take conversation. So that's kind of what we're at right now. Our next meeting, of course, like I said, this coming Tuesday. I think that's really the only big item we have right now, is that issue. But of course, crime is always an issue, and we want to make sure that that's a top priority for council. And I think everybody on council has made it a top priority. It's just now let's try to figure out how do we get to solving crime. Because like as we know, crime is not an easy task to solve. If it was, it would have been solved a long time ago. But as I mentioned at the last meeting, everything's trial and error, unfortunately. So sometimes you have to start something, tear it up, restart, or rebuild, examine it again and start over. So I think we have a team of people that are willing to do that. And so we'll see how that works. Yes, ma'am.
So I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but I viewed it online and there was a lot of passion in the room, and it seems like we are headed in a direction moving forward to try to make some changes. Like you said, it's not easy to get a hold on crime, because if it were, we've done it a long time ago. But my question to you is, you said there will be I guess like a liaison on the board from the housing authority.
Yes.
It will be the ED, or the ED selects?
So it will be the ED or his or her.
Or
designee. So either the ED can serve or they can appoint somebody to serve, as
Understood.
long as they represent the PRHA.
Is this the program that young lady, got up and spoke about? And Chief Jenkins?
This is something different. This is,
No, so this is something that myself and Vice Mayor Lucas Burke proposed.
Okay.
So a lot of people come to council with programs,
Mhm.
and basically this would also serve as because right now Portsmouth, as I mentioned, we have so many different programs here, there, and
Sure.
everywhere, but there is no connection. So there needs to be a hub for these programs to run in, because I mean, we can have 20 wonderful programs, but if we're overlapping or we're not reaching the right people because we don't have this information over here, it's just not gonna be successful. So we need to make things more cohesive, more centralized, and hopefully this will help to spearhead it. Task force, of course, don't solve crime right away. You have short-term, long-term goals, and so hopefully this commission will begin to set those parameters and we can achieve things until we eradicate it.
Will you have residents or none?
Yeah, so the members at large will be people in the community, it will be experts, it will be faith leaders, whoever, people that are prominent,
Mhm.
people hopefully with understanding of crime, with understanding of mental health, with understanding of community engagement. Those are some of the criteria that I would hope be a part of.
Thank you.
well, whoever the ED is, if you don't do it, I put my hat in there.
Thank you. Any other comments? So where's the committee remarks? So I guess we start with finance.
You have anything for?
Anything for finance?
Right now, I'm working on the budget for 2024. We have been in contact with our auditors. They continue to have, shortcomings with the 2020 audit, but they have made significant progress. We are hoping that at any point now, they'll tell us they're done. We are working on the, properties 2022 audit. They're moving along quite well. And so, continue to provide all the information they need to see if we can close the 2020 audit. They seem to be still having, manning difficulties. And kind of slow
It's the same company that's doing the 2020 audits.
already.
You know how long we've been using these auditors?
A couple of years.
I think it's 2019. 2019. Any questions on this one, notice?
No.
So we'll move to the development committee. Director.
I am still in search for a director, let's just say that. But in the meantime, I will give you a couple updates. Lexington Senior is still scheduled, to begin construction in January of this year, so we're very excited about that. New opportunities for our seniors. Also, 5315 High Street, that is the single-family housing we purchased, in which we thought we were gonna put senior housing there, and of course, you know, that was ultimately denied by planning commission and city council. So, within the next 30 to 60 days, we're looking to put out a solicitation for the demolition of that property, with the intent that we will build 4 single-family houses on that property. So that's where we are there. And, we have yet to determine whether we're going to move forward with rental housing or home ownership on that, but we will build 4 single-family homes. Yes, so we plan on the property at Town Point Road, we're looking to apply for 4% credits on that one next year. So we're looking to build senior housing on that property as well. So, that is not far along as Lexington Seniors. So, we'll be able to provide you a better update on that in January. But we're looking to submit credits probably in the spring of next year.
Where is, I'm sorry, where is that one on Town Point?
Twin Pine Road.
Okay.
That's it. We'll move to Human Resources Committee. Any,
Well, I'll speak for us. All of our stuff is done, but, we'll have to circle back to this later, but just as a reminder, I had requested, or suggested that we dismantle as it stands the committees in the future, and then ask specifically for staff that may have been under these committees in the future, if we have questions, to bring them so that we're not wasting staff's time.
absolutely, I agree, that's a better form.
So in the end, maybe we can discuss that and how we move forward with that.
Absolutely.
But I think dissolving these as we have them now is the better spot, and then just specifically asking for finance or whomever to be here if we need an update on that information. But in regards to human resource, we've done all of our stuff. I think we're still waiting for the final packet to come out, though. The final HR book.
I thought that was done. We haven't completed, Mr. Blank?
Yeah,
That one is done.
you approved that.
That I may not have gotten that copy, but I don't.
Yeah, but the board approved it.
We'll make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we get your copy. It's very thick.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, we approved it. Like I said, I didn't get a copy of
Did
the approval.
everyone else
of the-
get it? We can send it out to
We'll
everyone.
send it to everybody.
Thank you. Housing Committee?
No report for housing at this time.
But I would like to introduce our new Housing Choice Voucher Director, Ms. Consuela Knight.
Well, welcome.
Welcome. Nice.
Recently, was the HCB Director in, Charlottesville Housing Authority.
Okay.
So she has a wealth of experience, and I'm certainly glad to have her on board with me.
Welcome.
Well, welcome. Let's see. You have the Governance Committee?
Two things I think the board need to look at, in 2024 is your corporate agreement. Last time we updated was 1956. And also, you may want to go back and look at your bylaws, your board bylaws, to see if you want to do want to update those two. Just as a basic suggestion.
Where did you and Bruce leave off with the corporate agreement?
The draft copy was, the draft copy has been completed, and I'll make sure Lisa get that. It's a matter of the board looking at that and see if you, want to present that to your liaison, your council liaison, to see if, you can get that through council. Because the 1956 one, at that time, you didn't have any animals such as tax credits.
Okay.
And then the other thing too is you're looking at that, because you have the tax credits and then you're paying property tax on your tax credit properties. So where in most jurisdictions, because we're serving the same clientele, tax credit property, most housing authorities they pay pilot in lieu of property tax, which means if you do the math between those two, it can save the authority close to $200,000 a year.
Isn't that how other, authorities tend to,
I'm sorry.
is that how other authorities tend to,
Do business.
they have pilot programs?
Well, pilot, you have pilot on your public housing. We have pilot on our public housing property. Because when the corporate agreement was done in initially, all housing authorities paid pilot in lieu of taxes, that is, instead of property tax. But when the tax credits came out in the late eighties, 90s, housing authority was building tax credit property, which is not public housing property, but it's serving the same clientele. So what most jurisdictions do is they also allow the housing authority to pay pilot on the tax credit properties. So we have two sets of property in our program. We got public housing properties, and then we got tax credit properties like Hamilton Place, Phoebus, and those that were paying straight property tax, or just like the private investors pay on their properties. So you may want to look at working with your council liaison, seeing if the council will agree to let you pay pilot instead of straight property tax. And the state agency, I'm saying about $200,000 a year.
Security committee.
Yes, I spoke to, security staff. Now we had, I guess you see on the news, we had quite a few shootings, incidents. There was 3, one death, 4, and 3 other, injuries from, the death is still under investigation.
Okay, yes, we're getting the storm. It's coming.
It's time for me to go.
No, one death, like I said, I do want to send my condolences. That's one of my, old tenants from Seaboard. She used to live there when I was the, manager. The other 3, 2 was minor. I think the other one was in hospital. I think she's home now. They had some issues with the camera, but I think we're still waiting for the switch from Swanson about the dead spot. They was kind of still concerned about. They gang activities, they usually, pick up around the beginning of summer, so it's kind of picking up now. That's why it's kind of so much activity going on. So I kind of asked him about the rapport he has with the community. He said it's pretty decent. He said when he see, some of the people who may be in the gang or whatever, and he talks to them, they will kind of disperse. But I mean, kind of so much that they can do.
Yeah. Have we heard anything, Mr. Glenn, from the police in regards to the shootings?
Well,
Property?
yeah, police, they doing an investigation. They have camera footage on most of the situation taking place. One of the incidents took place inside the unit. It was a messing inside, and one was outside. But the ones outside, we have cameras in place, so they have the footage. And normally, once the police do all the investigation, if it was tenants involved in the housing authority, we're able to issue those family notices to vacate. But we had to wait for the police to finish their investigation in most of the situations.
The young lady that, was murdered, was there any other remaining family members?
That particular incident did not happen
It happened.
their property, not on.
So it wasn't on the property.
Although
It's technically right beside it. So
Yeah,
they
it
kind
was
of
reported
consider
that
it being
way.
their home.
as
It was closer
it
to,
reported as if it happened in their home, but it did not really happen in their home.
but it was close enough where the cameras kind of caught some of
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
But I think the important piece to that is a lot of stuff that happens because it's on Dale Street or whatever that street is. They say it's Dale and it's not necessarily Dale.
But one of our residents at our properties.
She was a resident of West Bay, the one that was.
But definitely our sincere condolences to the entire family. It's been hard to listen and watch, and people that are connected to that individual, and it's been hard. It's been hard, so. We'll stay abreast of everything that's going on. I'm sure they'll keep you guys updated.
One other thing I kind of wanted to mention, they asked about additional training. I'm not sure they need to kind of get with you all on what type of training they may need or want. And, also,
Yeah, security training.
yes. It's like CPR and they wanted maybe like Narcan. I'm not sure if they can get training on that, they can get that, or they can contact whoever so they can try to get those, use those types of things when they're out there.
It's probably a crazy question, but with security, are they required to have some type of certification as security? Is it something that has to be renewed annually?
It's certified through the Department of Criminal Justice System.
Okay.
I don't know if security will get Narcan. I think that's EMT.
No,
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 no, I was just, she,
They were just kind of mentioning maybe.
yeah, I think that's strictly EMT.
With our security, I mean, so they should be certified annually?
Well, our security is now attached to a private security company that we're using.
So we have to ask for training from them.
And so they have all of the certification and they have the insurance, because what happened was our insurance carrier told us, not only this housing authority, you don't want to be in the business of having your own security carrying weapons, because then you're subject to major liability. Insurance companies only going to cover maybe $1 million in liability, and you get sued for 5 million more. That's on your housing authority. So the insurance carrier have not only else, but they just show housing authorities across the country. They say you need to find a security company and let them work under the arm of a security company who have all the insurance. And then the housing authority is not tying up in lawsuits if something goes bad. That's what we get there. So the security company have all of the required certification that's needed on a state level to provide security, whether to a housing authority or any private business.
So right now, our security officers are employees of the security company and we're contracting the security company.
Correct.
I guess the last question is, have we offered anything to the staff as far as reading counseling or anything for staff? That's a lot for staff too. Because this is one of their residents, you know, that they see and know. And have we, as a housing authority, offered anything for
The incident
or
that
reading
happened,
counseling for staff?
a week or prior to this one, we did have on-site counseling. So that was arranged by our HR department to have on-site pre-counseling.
Definitely want to make sure that we would definitely offer that for staff. All right, so where am I? Executive director's comment?
On the table in front of you, already have a copy of the various programs that we offer. Because I think the question came up, what programs are we offering to our families that we have in our community? So you have a list of what we're offering. And because sometimes you hear in the community where the housing authority is not offering programs, but you see, we really offer a lot of programs. And along with that, we have relationships with various organizations for additional services, like the Boys and Girls Club, the Rec Center on Portsmouth Boulevard, and you have these other programs, after-school programs, things like that. But keep in mind that we kind of do MOUs with organizations who have the expertise to provide these services. Because the main role of a housing authority really is just providing shelter. That's the main role. But beyond that, what we do is do MOUs with other organizations for a lot of the what we call social service pieces. I'm gonna let Dolores kind of talk about that a little bit.
Can you explain the acronym?
MOUs.
Oh, memorandum of understanding, I'm sorry.
So we, at Resident Services, we have a comprehensive program where we cover, residents from youth all the way up to our elderly residents. We have case managers that work with the families, and we primarily are funded through HUD grants that pay for staff that will, they'll pay salary and benefits for staff. And however, HUD believes that because other federal programs provide services, our staff coordinate services with other federal programs and other community groups. So we operate on memorandums of understanding. We have to have them when we submit our grant applications. So anytime we work with a family or participants, we look to see what partner we have that can provide those services. We make referrals. We also have what we call program coordinating committee. This is a group of the different agencies we work with to help our residents with the services and programs that they need. And we meet with them quarterly, where we have, we give them an update on what's going on in our programs, and they let us know what's going on in their programs so that we can meet the needs as they arise. When we have a family member someone comes in and we don't have a partner to meet whatever their needs are of that family, then we seek out a community organization to serve that need. We work mostly with nonprofits or government entities because we do not steer our residents to one provider or another when they come to meet with us, because the idea is we don't want people to benefit monetarily from our residents. So we're very careful about who we partner with. And you have a list of some of the programs that we actually are offering now. I'm most excited about our Youth Build program. That is a grant for youth and young adults, 18 to 24. You can start at 16, but Portsmouth has strong compulsory attendance rules in place. And it's for young people that have dropped out of school, don't have a high school diploma or GED. And a component of it is to ensure that they get that while they're learning skills. We're working with TCC that's going to provide some soft skills training. They're going to also provide a certification, national certification in construction. They're also going to learn basic carpentry, receive a certification from that. And we are going to do some life skills. We're working with the city of Portsmouth. Portsmouth at work. We're doing leadership training community. They're going to do some community service. Portsmouth Public Schools Adult Education is doing the GED and digital literacy for us. So those, when I say we partner, those are like agencies. We all work together to put together the program, because we don't do those things, but we find people that do those things to help make our programs successful. And the great part about it is the authority had some vacant land that they donated as part of this grant application, and we're going to build a house. These young people are going to build a house. We have a construction partner, Learn to Build. They're going to build a house, then we're going to sell to a low-income family, first-time home buyer. So that's the type of thing we do when we say partnerships.
And in reference to all of the programs, how is this information communicated to the residents? Because I've been contacted about lack of programs, and I personally couldn't respond with any of these. And I'm a board member. So how is this information communicated out to the residents? Like, I'm a contractor also, a realtor and a contractor. So just to know about the youth build, I think it's a great opportunity.
I would say, how many of you are actually connected with us via social media? The Housing Authority has a Facebook page. We have an Instagram. So I would recommend that you all join, because everything that we do hits our social media, as well as we do flyers, we have postcards, and we do mailing. We have we send mail stuff to every household on both the HCD and housing side to ensure that the residents know about it. We do monthly calendars. Sometimes if you come in and you look out on its front desk, there's the newsletters are there. And anytime we have flyers and programs, it's usually out there right on the front desk as soon as you come in. But it's always posted on our website, social media. So I really will recommend that if you're not following us on Facebook or Instagram, please do, because we have a young lady that maintains that on a regular basis. That's the great thing about young people working in the department. They're really up on that stuff, and everything that we do, not just us, that we get information from our partners, we get stuff that comes through from the city. when they send out their blast that's relevant, we make sure that we send it out because we have learned from residents that it's by far one of the best ways to reach people. Because when we try to do a flyer, they may or may not read it. We've heard sometimes residents have told us they throw it in the trash. That's why we mail things. We want to make sure, okay, maybe you get it in the mail, you'll look at it. And we're trying to move away from big flyers, maybe do these little postcards because they're colorful, they're easy to read, couple of sentences. And we're hoping that that will help attract people. So we use various methods, and we also knock door to door in our community. The resident services staff are always out in the community, particularly when we're having a program of activity, going door knocking. And we got hang tags we put on doors.
Right now, what is the success that you feel that these programs are having, like the occupancy from residents and like, are the programs filled up? Is there still room for other people to sign up and become a part of these programs?
Oh, there's always room for growth. Because what we've had is some people may start, but they don't finish. Youth Build, we're actually just starting recruiting for Youth Build. So we're starting to send out our marketing material. Next week, we'll be sending out the marketing material. They've already put it online because we have a kickoff coming up. But there's always room because people may start, but they don't finish. So we always allow for some transition within the program for occupants because there's always excess capacity. Very rarely do we say we don't have any room for anyone.
So are you just sending it to the participants or you sending it to everybody?
No, we send it to everybody because we don't know, like with Youth Build, we're doing recruiting for that. We don't know who has someone they know, maybe in our age group, 18 to 24. Because even if you're an elderly household, you got grandkids, you got neighbors, you got friends, you got family members. So we send stuff like that to everyone to make sure it can have the farthest reach possible.
But they have to be a resident of one of the properties.
No, not for Youth Build. We are primarily serving PRHA residents, meaning they're either housing authority or public or assisted housing or ACB participants. However, if they meet the eligibility requirements in which there's the education thing, income requirement, that type of thing. If they meet those eligibility requirements, they can still participate. We can take up to 25%.
I think the other thing is, as our council liaison mentioned a few minutes ago is, and of course we have an abundance of programs, a lot, compared to other cities I worked in over my professional career. Portsmouth probably have more programs than any other jurisdiction I've ever worked in.
Well, the programs are great, but
Yeah.
if they're not, the information is not got out to the people that would benefit from the programs.
And even with us, we get the information out, although I know that I hear none housing authority, people say all the time, but Portsmouth Housing Authority have no program. But which is not true, because we have abundant programs, a lot of programs internal. And as you all just said, we work external with other agencies that have the expertise to provide what we can provide. And I think when we also lease up families in our program, I believe we also make them aware we're getting new families coming in, of course, right? It was ACV or assisted housing, low-income housing. We make them aware of the programs.
It depends on the manager. The manager can just kind of.
Yeah, and that was another question. Where does it fall on the manager of the individual properties with communicating this information out? Because I know you were explaining that it's communicated from housing.
It doesn't go out.
Right, it's like when I was a manager, if I knew about it, I told them, like, it depends on.
Correct.
The
If
man.
they're cycling through the office or they're
Right.
walking the property
Usually
and talking
that's-
to the kids that are out.
It should be when they first come onto the program.
Mhm.
And at their annual recertification, there should be information that should be given to each family or participant on the HCV program
Mhm.
of this program. That's usually how it goes. So is that
Can
not?
I do a point of order? And I'll work backwards. to where we were in the beginning. This is where we should have these question and answers. And to your question in regards to Portsmouth, or I believe it was you, Portsmouth has an abundance of programs. We have 280 churches to 98,000 people that offer, and that's why at the moment we have the amount of homeless that we have. Because Virginia Beach, Hampton, Newport News, they dump here because they know that they can go to church at 7 and get showered, go to Oasis at 9 and get food, go to this church at Parkview and get clothing. There's an abundance. And to move further backwards, I don't, to your question, in regards to not knowing, we should know as much as we want to know in regards to PRHA. But we need to, the last two conferences drilled it in me, and I'm sticking with it, that we need to stay very firm as to what our purview is as a board. Because we shouldn't be out there saying, oh, we have this, we have that, because if this or that changes, that's still a staffing issue. So we should know it and say, I believe we have something.
Correct, so that's the point that
And
was
we can
made.
point to a staff person.
With knowing that we're board members, if a community member comes up to us and asks us a question, then we should know. It's
Well,
not,
we should know we have. We should not say, this is what we have, this is what you should do. Versus, this is a person of contact that I think you should talk to. That leaves us out of that loop because we didn't tell them we've got insurance that's gonna cover $10,000 versus saying, talk to our lawyer and here's our lawyer's name.
Yeah, I think he was just generally speaking of the programs.
And I get that. I'm just reminding that we are not
Understood.
that entity. We are
Understood.
here for,
And you just want to be clear on, we do have the programs where we can find the information about the
Correct.
programs,
to whom you need to go to.
and that's it.
That's all I'm saying.
Understood.
It's to whom we go to, because they shouldn't be coming to us for the program.
Well.
but knowing the position that we're in, that does not limit them from coming to us.
I didn't
And that's
say
the
that.
point that's being
I
made.
didn't say that. I'm saying we should not be in the business, just like with security. We should not be in the business of saying this, that, the other thing. I believe we have a program that covers that. Speak to Dolores. Speak to this one. But I just don't want us to get into the specifics of, this is what we got. Yes, a great program. You should do this. When that program may not even exist anymore, or they've got a new program. But that's not us. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, I don't think that's where he was going with that at all. I think it was more of just being aware
Being informed.
and more,
Well, I agree with
where can we find this information? Are we getting it to our participants? And so
I agree
I
100%.
think that's just where we are with that. Did you have a?
I was just gonna say that being the resident commissioner on this board, I don't receive information of any resources that are available. If I'm notified, it's because of my own research, or if I have questions. I get a community booklet. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
It's
we
a-
send-
And I think that comes from the city, of course.
No, we don't send, no.
I don't get anything from PRHA as far as advertising what is available.
We do mass mailings to HCB participants all the time, because that's the only way we can reach them. If you're not on a community, if you're in a community, that's our actual communities, that's where.
I'm not in a community,
So,
so
but we do mass mailing to HCB participants all the time. So like for our scholarship information, cause we have participants from, most of our participants came from.
Do you have an updated address to them?
I have to. Absolutely.
Well, we can take a look at that, pass that on to our executive director, the incoming executive director, and make sure that we're getting that information circulated like as it should.
I'm not saying with that. I know, I guess most of y'all, and I wasn't here for your comments. Sorry I was late. Got caught in traffic, but we always hear PRHA, PRHA, PRHA. But, or if you know, our option to send Dolores or somebody to the meetings to kind of tell what we do, what we don't do. just so the community see, we listen.
Representation.
Right. Cause it's like, we are not doing nothing. We have like the blame for everything. And I know we can't stop a shooting, but it's still our fault. So it's like, we don't have enough activities, but she's saying a lot of activities, what we doing and what we not doing. So at least you can send Dolores, you can send somebody to kind of show a representation of what we are doing.
We hear you loud and clear, and, what we will do is we'll do better communication in the future to make sure that, you're aware of the programs and also we'll reach out to other community organizations that we have an MOU with, so that they will, make their citizen or participant aware of the programs that the housing authority working with them on. We can go into that.
That's very important, and we're making sure that we definitely getting it out. Sometimes it's a matter of updating email addresses. Do you send a blast out via email?
We have two participants. We actually have a program where we send text blasts out
Okay.
to our
That's good.
participants. Because we have a program, our case management software that allows us to do that now. So we
So
can
do they have to
email
opt
blasts
in
and text
for it
blasts.
first?
Not if they're a FSS participant or Jobs Plus or one of our program participants. We actually, that information comes directly from their case, the resident file.
Old business.
Old business,
Action.
Action.
action items. That be the resolution of year. You go right along.
Resolution 2023-37. Yeah,
Dolores.
Dolores.
So resolution 2023-37 is, was introduced by Mr. Bland earlier. As a matter of fact, we are, this resolution is actually an emergency contract that we want to enter into with Countermeasure, Direct CMD Foundation Unlimited LLC. They're doing business as Countermeasures Direct CMD Foundation, and it is for armed security guard services. As Mr. Bland mentioned, our insurance company notified us that they could not cover the liability of PRHA having employees working as armed security guards. So to continue this necessary means of providing security to our communities, we want to increase the hours of CMD, who was a contractor we already had procured, but they were doing supplemental security, helping out our two employees. So, to prevent a break in service while we go through a solicitation process, we're doing an emergency procurement and we want to increase their hours, which we were at 42, we're going to 108 because we requested that they hire our two employees that we had on staff here at PRHA, and they did. So that they can continue providing services to our communities because they have relationships. They know our residents and residents know them. And we feel that it's just instrumental to continue to the security of our residents and community. And by doing this emergency contract, it will allow PRHA the opportunity to issue an RFP for these security services. So to increase the safety and well-being of and remain responsive to our residents, we're requesting board approval to enter into an emergency contract with Countermeasures Direct CMD Foundation Unlimited. They need to shorten their name. LLC, doing business as Countermeasures Direct CMD Foundation.
Are there any questions, commissioners?
Already answered.
Motion to move?
Motion to accept, is it? With that said, obviously there's a little latitude today with the change, but I think we need to read the resolutions fully because we're on camera. Yes. The resolution wasn't read fully. To go into the resolution.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying.
I'm not sure that we normally have to read it, but only because we're on camera.
The heading.
Right. We cut into Dolores.
Oh, I read the heading.
Okay.
When I did mine. I read it.
As the chair, you would usually read the
The
resolution in
entire
full.
resolution.
Yes.
Again, I'm.
Well, I mean, I'm saying-
But is that because?
And I'm asking
I do
our attorney.
on or off.
So if the caption of the heading that was read, then that is sufficient.
That is
That's why I'm asking.
That's true. A motion. So
Yes.
Motion and second.
We'll move on to resolution
Roll
2020.
call.
I'm sorry, roll call.
Commissioner Cost,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Pickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Wick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Prince,
Yes.
and Chairman Wright.
Yes. We'll move on to resolution 2023-38.
If the chair approve, I'd like to take 2023-38 and 39 together. Because their resolution, we're authorizing the amendment of, resolution 2023-30 and 2023-31 from our last meeting, which approved lawn care and grounds maintenance contract between, the Authority and LW's Lawn Service LLC and the Authority and Michael Hargrave doing business as Lawn Art. So it's two resolutions because it's two different companies.
Right.
And this resolution I'm bringing before the board because we approved the contracts, and when I was ready to issue the contracts to these firms, I realized the amounts approved in the resolution were, holdovers from our previous resolution a few years ago for lawn services. So the, maximum contract amount did not reflect the amounts of these current contracts. So as a housekeeping issue, we need to, change the amounts in the resolutions so that it will match what their contract amounts that were approved.
What was our last one?
The last one was the last,
The amount that we were,
you approved, for $100,000, an amount not to exceed $100,000 for LWs in 2023-30, and amount not to exceed $50,000 for lawn art in 2023-31.
So that's what it's showing right here, right? It's showing 100.
That's the corrected amount is in the fourth whereas.
so that's the 383,000
Yes.
and
For
then
LWs,
110,000 for the other.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, obviously, the advance is cost of living, prices, yada, yada, yada.
well, previously we had three different contractors with $100,000 each.
Okay.
So, now we have two contractors, one of which is only doing two properties. And the other one has all the PRJ remaining properties.
Okay.
And our last contract was over 5 years ago.
Thank you.
And just a question to council. Definitely, she would have to read, or staff would have to read the whole resolution up top, just that caption at top.
That's
Right.
correct.
Okay. I didn't get that part read, but.
Oh, I sort of combined both of
Yeah,
them.
she did.
She's gonna come back to read the whole thing.
Yeah, she combined them both.
He combined them. He just didn't read it word for word, but
Motion to approve.
I, so moved.
Do we need to state both of them, or we did them both together?
Just stuck it together.
Need a second?
I did.
That's second, he second.
Commissioner Cost,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Pickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Wick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Prince,
Yes.
and Chairman Wright.
Yes. PRHA, allows public speakers up to 5 minutes to speak. Do we have anyone? Any public speakers? Anyone uncomfortable to speak?
I think
I'm looking right at you, you know. Yeah, I'm looking right at you. Did like that, right? All right, so look like we have resolution 2023-40. Resolution to intent to meet in closed session.
Correct.
Where's the heading on this one? In my,
It's further back.
Under 10.
thank you. Please forgive me, I am. When I'm
all
sitting
the
in here,
latitude
it's
you need.
normally the attorney that does that where I'm sort of kind of used to the attorney doing that part of it, but it's okay, I can read it. Resolution 2023-40, resolution of intent to meet in closed meeting. Whereas the Virginia Freedom of Information Act provides that the Board of Commissioners can meet in a closed meeting for personnel matters as set forth in section 2.2-3711, I like that whole code of Virginia. The personnel matter or discussion is the appointment of the executive director. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in compliance with the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and the above referenced section of the Virginia Code, the Board of Commissioners shall reconvene in a closed meeting on September 21st, 2023, for the discussion of a personnel matter pursuant to Virginia Code section 2.23711.
Need a motion.
I need a
Motion to
motion
accept.
to go into.
A second.
What's going with it?
Commissioner Collins,
Yeah, he beat.
Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Pickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Wicks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Prince,
Yes.
and Chairman Wright.
Yes.
Mr. Attorney, what's your name?
Darius Davenport.
That,
There is that.
I was gonna ask if the attorney can stay with us for the close.
That's your partner?
Yes. Or one of them.